Friends, please be seated. You know, every preacher has certain Sundays to preach that they look forward to. Christmas, the great vigil of Easter, Pentecost. And then there are Sundays when the lectionary has a little fun at our expense. Today is Father's Day. Families are gathered around barbecues and good fellowship. We're giving thanks for fathers, for grandfathers, and all of those fatherly father figures who have shaped our lives. And the gospel today begins with Jesus saying, "I have come to set a man against his father." And then, just in case we've missed the point, whoever loves father or mother, that's a big one, more than me is not worthy of me. Well, thank you very much, Jesus. Happy Father's Day. You can imagine preachers all across the nation this week preparing their remarks. Really? This is what I'm preaching on for Father's Day? Come on! The truth is, neither Jeremiah, Paul, or Jesus were themselves fathers. But strangely, each of them is pointing to something that every parent in this church this morning already knows. Becoming a parent changes a person. Not all at once, not magically, but profoundly and mysteriously. Many of you have known my daughter, Amelia, since she was 11 years old when we came to this church. You've watched her grow up. You've watched her become a young woman. You've watched her head off to college. When Amelia was born, I remember thinking, I have become a father. Wow. So profound. And I was. But what I didn't understand at the time was that she would spend the next 21 years and counting making me into one more than just title. And that's the thing about love. We think we are shaping it, but it is shaping us. We think we are forming our children, but our children are forming us too. The George who existed before Amelia and the George who exists after Amelia, they are not quite the same person. Any parent knows what I'm talking about. A child enters your life, and everything in your life begins to rearrange itself. Your priorities change. Your habits change. Your worries change. Your hopes change. Your heart changes. And this change comes without a manual or without a class. It is on-the-job training, building the airplane while you're already flying it. There are no guarantees in parenting or in life. Not even the destination is clear. Maybe there's one guarantee. You will be changed from the inside out and nothing will ever again be as it was before. One becomes a father by being a father. Participation changes the participant. In Romans, Paul says that through baptism, we are united with Christ in his death and resurrection. He says that we have died with Christ and have been raised with Christ. In other words, baptism is not simply about believing something. It is really about participating in something. A new life, a new reordered reality, a new way of being human. In the same way, discipleship to Jesus is not primarily about learning information about Jesus. Discipleship is about learning to participate in Jesus' life. Just as you learn marriage by being married, just as you learn friendship by being a friend, just as you learn parenthood by becoming a parent, so we learn to live the Christian life by participating in the life of Christ. Day after day, prayer after prayer, one act of mercy after another, through failure and forgiveness, through death and resurrection. Again and again, participation changes the participant. And that, I think, might help us to hear Jesus' difficult words on this Father's Day as good news. Jesus is not attacking families here. He's not telling us to love our parents less or our children less. He is reminding us that discipleship is participation, and it is not a hobby. Discipleship is not something we fit into the margins of an otherwise busy and unchanged life. When Christ becomes the center of our lives, everything else is reordered around that center. Every loyalty, every relationship, every priority. And we need not be afraid of this reordering because we are not diminished by our participation. We are transformed by love. In fact, when Christ becomes the center, we are more capable of loving others, not less. A father shaped by the love of Christ becomes a better father. A mother shaped by the love of Christ becomes a better mother. A friend shaped by the love of Christ becomes a better friend. Participation changes the participant. Jack Kornfield, a famous meditation teacher, once said that in order to reap the benefits of meditation, one must be present. And he always used to say, one must be present to win. We must be present. We must participate. Even Jeremiah, exhausted and frustrated as he is in today's reading, he is on his last good nerve, right? He cannot escape the claim that God has placed on his life. Something deeper has taken a hold of him, something stronger than comfort, something stronger than his fear. His life has been reshaped by the God who has called him. on this Father's Day. We give thanks for those who have loved us, those who have guided us, sacrificed for us, and helped to shape us. Perhaps we might receive the invitation today, then, that these three fatherly non-fathers seem to be extending. What is shaping me now? What love is forming my life? Who am I becoming? Because the promise of the gospel is not simply that Christ forgives us. The promise is that Christ is making us new. And like every deep love, that making new happens slowly, over years, over decades, until one day we look back and we discover that the person that we were is not quite the person that we have become, which is how fathers are made, which is how disciples are made. Not all at once, not magically, but through a lifetime of participation in a love that changes us. And that is good news.